You are listening to the When I Said Yes podcast, where we are simplifying and accelerating your success by helping you find your next yes. Hello, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of the When I Said Yes podcast. I'm your host, Darryll Stinson, and today we are going to say yes to pivoting and taking calculated risk. I want to introduce you to my friend Lauren Schoenfeld, who is a registered dietitian, a women's health expert, and business coach for integrative and functional dietitians and nutritionists. Her mission is to educate women on how to nourish their bodies, minds, and spirits, and to help nutrition professionals grow and scale a successful business. She is a specialist trained in functional medical nutrition therapy, and she has helped hundreds of women optimize their hormone and gut health while allowing for flexibility in their diet and lifestyle choices, which is a great thing. Drawing on her background as a teaching assistant and mentor for the Kresser Institute's ADAPT Functional Practitioner Program, Laura has coached dozens of dietitians and nutritionists on how to grow their businesses for financial success. So I'm excited to let you in on our conversation as we talked about pivoting and taking calculated risks. We also spent some time getting into her story and really having her teach us how to both build and scale a business and to live healthy. So many gold nuggets in here. Enjoy this episode. Yes, my good friend Laura, will you tell them a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah. So first of all, Darryll, thank you for having me. And I am a registered dietitian that's trained in functional medicine, nutrition therapy. And I've been doing this work for almost 7 years now. And just in the last year and a half-ish, I started to transition to coaching other nutrition business owners. And it's been kind of a crazy year. I know it's been a crazy year for everyone if you're listening in 2020. But it's been one of those years where I saw this opportunity that I really feel was a God opportunity to start combining all the passion that I've built in growing a business with my knowledge of how to serve clients at a really high level for nutrition and for health, and being able to help people actually create really highly serving, highly impactful nutrition businesses where they can help others improve their health and make more money themselves. So that's been where my business has gone this year, and it's been really exciting.
I love it. I love it. And one of the things I know that we're going to get into is really talking about this shift that you made in your business. Reading your application for this podcast inspired me because not a lot of people have the guts to try something new when something is already working. You know, we're all for trying something new when things are broken, but it sounds like things were going quite well for you. Talk to us about that season and really what was your yes moment?
Yeah, so I feel like there's been this feeling in the last couple of years in my experience as a business owner that I was not reaching my full potential, and my revenue had kind of been like the same every year. And it was pretty high for a nutrition business owner. But it was also kind of like, I wasn't really seeing that growth. And I knew that if I was going to see what potential I had as a business owner when it came to the financial piece, that I was going to have to make some changes to the way I was doing my business. And really the business coaching thing came up kind of, I don't say accidentally, but it kind of was accidentally. In early 2019, I had someone reach out to me to potentially work with me as a nutritionist. Now, this person was a dietitian herself and had been following my work for several years. And she was having a really hard time with her health, and her health had been suffering for a while now, and she wasn't sure why. She couldn't figure it out, and she wanted a second opinion. So she reached out to me, and we talked about the possibility of working together. And when I started asking her questions about her life, about what she was doing, about her business, I found out she was working like 90-hour weeks, full-time
Wow.
job plus a full-time self-employment business. And I realized, I was like, I'm pretty sure that that's the reason that she's not feeling well. I mean, there might be some other things that we could talk about, but it sounds like that is like the main issue that she really needs help with. And I could have at that moment said, you know what, I think you actually really need a business coach. Let me refer you out to some business coaches. But I just thought to myself, I bet I could help her figure out her business. Like I've been doing this at that time for like 6 years. I'd also worked behind the scenes in a 7-figure business and helping him grow his. So I had a lot of experience. I had a lot of knowledge, and I figured, what the heck, might as well ask if she wants me to help her. And so she wanted me to work with her for a full year, which was the longest I'd ever committed to working with a single client. And when I crunched the numbers and figured out what I would have to charge her, it ended up being a $15,000 package, which for me, I was like, oh my gosh, I think the highest package I'd ever sold at that point was like 5,000. So it was a really big, nerve-wracking step for me. And I remember her thinking, or her saying like, well, I need to think about it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if she's going to say yes, but at least I offered it. And he ended up saying yes. And now I've been working with this particular person for almost 2 years. And since then, I've been adding more and more offers to my business coaching business. And this year, I think because of COVID and all the stuff that happened in 2020, that it was one of these situations where I realized that if I was going to hit those possible revenue numbers that I knew I'm capable of as a person, I realized I was going to have to really focus on one business and not try to run 2 businesses at the same time. So in the summer of this year, I really said, okay, I'm going all in. This is what I'm doing. And I transitioned to focusing on the business coaching, and it's been really, really successful ever since then. So it's been a really exciting experience. And it was literally just this one opportunity that came in front of me that I, again, could have said, this isn't really my thing. I'm going to send you to someone else. But I thought to myself, I really like talking to people about business, and I bet I could be really good at this. So let me take a chance and see if this is something I can do.
So, like, first thing that comes to my mind is like, yeah, taking a $15,000 chance is a big leap for some people, you know? Now, granted, you did have some experience, so it wasn't like you were a newbie, but still, that being the first time you offered that type of package, what was like, how did you work through it, like from a mental standpoint? Because like, here's what comes to my mind is like, man, you had to have battle, like, am I charging too much? Am I charging not enough? And then am I going to be able to deliver? Like that whole, like the battlefield of the mind type stuff. Talk to us about like the war you fought in your head.
Well, it's funny because at that time, it was such a why not? I'll just see what happens kind of offer that I don't know if I was thinking so much about it when I was presenting it. But when this particular person was saying, I have to think about it, like, let's get off the call and talk again later, that was when some of that doubt started to creep in. Like, I don't know, maybe she's going to say no. And I think the big thing that really helped was I didn't have a lot of like personal self-worth riding on whether she said yes or no. I knew that it was like a big leveling up for me, and I was excited about the possibility, but it wasn't a situation where I was thinking, if this doesn't happen, then I'm a failure. Because I knew like my business had been running just fine with my health consulting type of work. And this was just kind of like, hey, this is like another thing that I could offer. So I think what really helped me was just not attaching any sort of meaning to whether or not she said yes or no. And I thought to myself, you know, I'd built up years of figuring things out, like taking risks, being able to make things happen when I want to make them happen. So having that confidence behind me, having taken those risks before, at that point, I thought, okay, I've never done this before, but I've proven to myself over the last 6 years that I can do things that I don't know how to do, and I can figure it out. So I trusted myself to be able to figure it out, even though I didn't have like a clear plan moving forward. Now, offering business coaching now is way easier because I've done all the work to figure out like, what's my process? What do I help people with? Like, what's the journey that my clients go on? So now it's super easy for me to know I can help someone. But at that moment, it was very much just a trust thing, not only in myself, but also my client. She needed to trust me too. And I had built that trust with her, not only in the discovery call that we were on, but also, just having shown up as a source of information for years and really being a trustworthy source. I think that was something that she was able to trust me that I would deliver on what I was promising. So it was kind of twofold. Like there was a possibility that I was like, I don't know how this is going to go. So kind of a risk that I'm taking, but I have found as a business owner, all the best stuff that I've accomplished in my business has always come from taking a risk that there was no certainty. I mean, being an entrepreneur is a risk in and of itself.
You're
So
right.
you kind of have to be pretty risk tolerant. And I'm not even so much risk tolerant as much as I am like, I acknowledge that risk is part of this. And so if I see something that feels risky, I've trained myself to know, like, this is part of it. This isn't, this little like, oh my gosh, is this going to work? Like, that's not something I get scared of anymore. It's something that I'm like, no, that's part of the leveling up, that this is what comes with it. So it's taken time, but it's one of these things where I've practiced taking those risks so many times that now I have confidence in my ability to deal with some uncertainty and some unknown when it comes to those big leaps that I've taken.
Right. So this is so I'm kind of feeling like I need to ask like a couple of different questions that have come up. So this will be fun. But you mentioned that like you've had practice at taking these risks, whether calculated or completely crazy. And I know for so many people that first step is so hard. That first calculated risk is so hard. Like, have you always been that way where you're just like detached from the outcome? Um, and if not, then what would be your advice to those people who know they need to take a risk, but just are still stuck and scared and want to play the safe card and stay where they are, even though everything in them is saying jump and leap?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I'm not somebody who naturally is like a high risk taker. I actually think I tend to be kind of like emotionally sensitive. So a lot of times risks, like normal human risks, not just entrepreneur risks, but a lot of times I actually would get very anxious and scared, and like, my body would just start to like tense up, that kind of thing. Even the littlest things, like I was afraid of heights growing up. Like there's a lot of things that I was really like fearful around. And I don't know if I'm trying to think if there was like a turning point. I think really it was just like a slow transition to this mental state where I realized that the only way I can ever get rid of those fears is to kind of confront them. Just as an example, when I think I was like in my early 20s, in order to confront my fear of heights, and I had a fear of flying. Not only did I fly multiple times to Australia, but while I was in Australia, I actually went skydiving. So
Oh
fear of
God.
heights, fear of flying. Like I was like, what's the most like aggressive confrontation I can do for that issue?
Whoa.
And
So you just wanted to do it just to, yeah, I think you're a thrill seeker.
no, I'm really
Like
not.
you skydive.
Yeah,
Like
but that doesn't mean
what?
I'm gonna do it again.
I
I'm
would
telling
never
you,
do
my
that.
my
I would
husband,
never do the sky thing.
yeah,
Like
my
there's two things
husband.
I would never do is the sky thing. And my one of my staff members keep trying to get me to do whitewater rafting. And I will not do it.
I've done that too multiple times, but
Have
but
you bungee jumped?
no, I feel like that's a line for me. I don't think I could do that, but
But jumping out of a plane, is it? Like what?
I don't know why, it feels safer in a weird
Yeah.
way.
To
Parachutes
you.
were designed Parachutes were designed by like the military, whereas bungee jumping was designed by like crazy New Zealanders or something. But yeah,
Okay.
I'm not usually like a thrill seeker. Because I'm so sensitive, like I don't want that on a regular basis. Like that's not like my husband loves roller coasters and he's so bummed that I just won't go on roller coasters with him. But it's
Just jump out of
because
planes instead.
yeah. Well, and I think for me it's less about thrill seeking as it is about like proving to myself that I can do something.
Yeah.
So if something's really scary to me, then I want to show myself I can do it. So that's generally more of my mindset. Once I've done it, like I don't care if I ever skydive again kind of thing. So,
But where did that come from? Is that something you had to like cultivate, or is that something that maybe like your parents ingrained into you? I don't think you realize like that's not normal, right?
yeah.
It's a good thing, but the average person doesn't have that mentality. Where do you
Mhm.
think yours came from?
That's a good question. I think I was really shy growing up and I was very much in my own world, and I also, this is going to sound like really stuck up. I think I am relatively talented at many different things. So a lot of things have come really naturally and easy to me as far as just accomplishing things is concerned. And I feel like there was like little small moments of opportunity where somebody said, I don't know if this is going to work for you, but you can try it. Like, you know, certain opportunities in high school and college where I went out for something with this thought, well, if I don't get it, whatever, but I think I can. And when I did, it started to build this belief that like, hey, like I can really accomplish pretty much anything. I mean, within reason. I'm not going to be like a, you know, NFL football player or something, but you know, within reason, anything that I want to accomplish, I believe there's a good possibility that I could.
So
And
you're competitive. That's what
I
it
am
is.
competitive. Yes.
Now, you know what's crazy is I'm actually the same way. And I know we're kind of like taking some rabbit trails here. Don't worry, I'll bring us back. But this is interesting, right? Like we can do the same spiel on a bunch of other podcasts, but sometimes I just like to switch it up. So you just happen to get me when I had coffee. And like I'm the same way. But you know what's funny is that the when people say they believe in me, which a lot of people do, it actually has the reverse effect on me. Like when they're like, "Oh, you can do it." I'm like, "Sweet, I don't know if I can really do it," because it's like they see like that I can really accomplish this big task. I'm like, "Well, I don't know. They're believing a little too much in me." But if they were to flip that and go like, "Man, you can't do it," I'll be like, "Watch me," you know. And so, like, are you wired the same way, or are you just like driven, period, without the negative motivation or positive motivation of others?
Well, I'm definitely competitive. I was an athlete growing up, and took it very seriously as far as winning. Not to the point where I would get like, you know, angry if we lost, but I wanted to do everything I could to play the best I could. And kind of like, if we win, great. If we don't, at least I could say I tried my best.
Yeah.
And so I actually feel like a lot of my competitiveness is internal. Like even when I think about being on the volleyball team in college, I was on for about a year and a half. I got cut, but I was pretty sad about that. But the year that I was on it, I was probably like the worst player on the team. It was a really good team, but I was like the worst player on the team. And I never felt bad that I wasn't as good as the other people. I was always coming at it from the mindset of I want to be the best I can be. And so I think the competitiveness is really like self-driven because I don't really think people don't tell me, like I don't have a lot of cheerleaders in my life. I don't have a lot of people like telling me you should reach for the stars. Like I have coaches that I've hired that, you know, I hire them to kind of push me harder than I might push myself. But other than that, like it's, if I wasn't hiring those people, I wouldn't have a ton of people in my life that were like, you know, encouraging me to do more than what I'm doing. So I think it's always been internal. And it's really just been in the last like 5 years or so that I've started hiring coaches in various ways. Like I have a strength and conditioning coach. I have business coaches, like people who I know can stretch me even farther than I can stretch myself. And because I want to see what I'm capable of, that's why I've taken even bigger risks than maybe I would have taken had I not had a coach. So for me, it's all about, I don't know, it's like I just know that there's so much that's possible in our lives and I just want to see what that is for me. And if it doesn't turn out exactly the way that I want, I've found that a lot of times it turns out in the way it needs to turn out. And you know, even the leaps that have fallen to the ground, there was reasoning for that. There was a purpose in that. And I can see how those missteps or those mistakes actually brought me to where I am today. So it makes me less afraid to make mistakes. And it makes me more motivated to take risks, knowing that this is the only way that I can go past where I am now. There's no, like the circle I'm in now, if I want to get out of that circle and get to the next bigger circle, like it's going to feel scary. And I know that. So it doesn't scare me to
Yeah.
do it. Like, even though the fear comes up.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm gonna ask two questions there, and then we're gonna get back on track. Although I think this is interesting discussion, right? So if this is interesting to you, this is a good time to like hit pause, go leave a 5-star review because you love us. Go follow her on all the show note links that we're gonna put there, and help spread this information around the globe. Okay. Short commercial. What gives you the courage to take massive, messy steps in your business and life?
Mm-hmm. Well, I would say the number one thing would be my belief in God. I feel like I've only been a Christian since 2012, so about 8 years at this point. And I always had this belief in God, but I never really applied my belief to anything in my life. I was always putting all the pressure on me to perform. And if something didn't go well, or if something did go well, it was because of everything that I did. And in the last 8 years, as I've gotten deeper into my faith journey, I've started to realize that a lot of the things that have happened, positive or negative, was more than just my actions. There was a level of divine intervention that even if something went poorly, looking back and being like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that happened. Or if something went really well, it's like, wow, I don't have any clue how that went as well as it did. I just feel like it's not just me that's going to impact the outcome. So for me, I know that if something fails, I'm not saying like, oh, if I fail, it's like so cool. Like I do take it like very seriously, and I, get pretty upset in the initial moment. But once I'm able to kind of pause and reflect, I realize that even if there is an immediate failure, I know that God has a plan for that. And I know that it will work out in the end. So I think that the faith that I have that God is, I don't remember the exact book that it's in, but the verse that, that he has the good plans for us and plans for us to prosper, that kind of thing. I really have to fall back on that when it comes to, taking control of what I have control over and then releasing what I don't have control over. And then, like I said, I think a big part of it is building that confidence over time. I don't think confidence is just this thing that like you just snap your fingers and all of a sudden you're confident. I really think you take a little step outside your comfort zone and something works and you're like, oh, that wasn't as bad as I thought. And then you take another step outside your comfort zone and maybe you fail. And then you're like, oh, that stinks, but actually that wasn't as bad as I thought. Like you just start to build that experience of, hey, when I take risks, maybe they don't work out all the time, but over time, the collective experience has been that the more risks I take, the more reward that I potentially get. And so it's that building of confidence over time that allows me to be at the place I am now where I can take bigger and bigger risks. And I'm sure in 5 years from now, I'll take even bigger risks because I'll be able to look back at 2020 and be like, wow, remember when you did that? Remember when you completely changed your business model? And so it's not something that it's just like a personality trait that you're either born with it or you're not. I really think it is a skill that can be built over time, but it takes that smaller risk action and then bigger risk after that.
Right. Like, it's so funny. I hope I don't put my foot in my mouth by saying this, because this is question number 2, but I'm glad that we're recording this like pre-launch, because one of the benefits of doing that is I can start to like plan which episodes I want to be right after each other. And I literally did one last week with my friend Alan, who's like, say yes to peak performance. And like in many ways, like your story parallels his. It's like this desire to just be the best. And like people say that from like a buzz phrase type of thing, like become the best version of yourself. But it's different between people who talk it and people who actually live it and model it and want it and desire it and crave it. And you do that. So part 2 to this question is it was interesting to me that you're so driven, like naturally motivated. Like you don't have to get someone to yell at you to get out of bed in the morning, but yet you hired coaches, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of people who are successful and driven and like self-motivated, but won't hire a coach because they're like, I got this. What do I need a coach for? So talk to us about your decision to hire coaches. It sounds like multiple coaches in different areas.
Mm-hmm.
And what would you say to people about the importance of having a coach?
Yeah. Well, and if I think currently at this exact moment that we're recording, I have 3 people that I would consider private coaches of mine. One is in the fitness world and then 2 are in the business world. And I'm pretty sure to date, I've invested about like $130,000 in coaching over the last 7 years. Now that wasn't like $20,000 a year. That was, my first one was like $3,000. My next one might've been like $5,000. So, it built up over time. But what I find with coaching, and this is why I'm so passionate about coaching, because I really feel like my biggest role as a coach is to help someone see the things they're not seeing.
Mm-hmm.
I hire coaches because I know that they have knowledge, experience, wisdom, perspectives that I don't have. And especially when you're like, I don't say a solopreneur, like I have people helping me, but I'm the visionary of the business, right? So when you're the visionary of the business and you're trying to see what's possible for your business or how to go forward, if I haven't been somewhere yet, there's no way I could know how to get there unless somebody has already been there and they can show me. And so the main reason I hire coaches is because I know that there's this opportunity. There's this, like, I want to get like too woo woo, but like there's this reality that exists outside of the current reality that I'm in. And I cannot get to that new reality without having someone who has already made that journey to show me this is what you need to do. And like, I trust myself. Like I don't doubt a lot of my decisions. It's not that I'm someone who's like, I need someone to tell me what to do. Like I can figure stuff out, but there's that extra level of, I can't figure out something I've never done before. And I could take 10 years to figure it out myself, or I could invest money and have someone who's already done it tell me what to do so I get there even faster. So it is not a motivation thing for me. Like even with my fitness coach, like I like working out. Like I don't need to pay a coach to like force me to work out. But for that, I want to see what my body's capable of. And there's a lot of stuff that he has me do that I probably wouldn't do on my own because I wouldn't know to do it, or I wouldn't think that's something I should do or that I could do. So it's the same with my business. I maybe could figure this stuff out, but I don't want to waste a bunch of time messing things up over and over and over when I could learn from someone else's experience and knowledge and get there even faster. And then again, continue to have that exponential growth. So if somebody's not willing to work with a coach, I really think that's like a pride thing. Because, it's either that you think you can figure it all out yourself and you don't need anybody else, or you think that, that you're the only one that can do something and you don't have, like, it would be a waste of money to like hire someone else to help you. So I don't know. I don't know anybody who's successful in their business that did it 100% by themselves. And I think humans are designed to collaborate and to help each other see each other's blind spots. And it's just been, I don't know where I would be without coaching. Honestly, I don't think I would be talking to you right now about entrepreneurship. That's for sure.
Yeah. I think, I've seen people be successful without coaches, but they'll never be as successful as they could be. Right? You just need somebody to look at your blind spots. You need somebody to help keep you centered and guided in the line. You need somebody to help point out things. And one of the things I love about what you said is like, you're obviously an expert at what you do, but yet you still hire a coach that is an expert at what you do. So it's like, yeah, you're right. It is a humility thing where you could be prideful and be like, I'm the expert. I can't learn something from anybody. But you're like, no, it's cool to have this sounding board. It's cool to have someone to help you pivot. It's cool to talk about ideas with somebody who gets the insider language and lingo of the, health field. So I love that about you. It shows a tremendous mark of humility. I want to get like real pragmatic real quick and just talk to business owners. And you can, I know you focus specifically on women who are trying to, live more healthy, live a healthier lifestyle. So give us some like business advice, health advice. I'll let you kind of choose if you want to tag team a little bit of both. Just help people move forward in their health and in their business.
Yeah. So in my health consulting side of the equation, I focus on women. In the business coaching, I don't technically focus on women, but up to this point, I have not yet worked with a man. Totally open to. I actually like working with men. I would say from a health perspective, and maybe this is like health for entrepreneurs in general, I prioritize rest a lot, especially more as I get higher up in my business, as I get more advanced in what I'm doing in my business. The more I do, the more I value rest. Like even today, this is my first real thing that I'm doing today because I worked over the weekend. I ran a workshop for some of my clients. And I knew like, I'm not going to work all weekend and then just like jump straight into work on Monday morning. So I slept in, I did my Peloton bike this morning and like did some stretching and like hung out, like ate a leisurely lunch. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, especially ones that are very competitive or self-competitive, you like don't ever give yourself time off because it's like work, work, work. Like I always have to be working, always have to be performing. And listen, I get it. Like I have a very hard time like not doing work. But I've realized that I need that time off to recharge for the work that I'm doing. And I feel like that that choice is something that's protected my health and my mental health over the last 7 years of being a business owner. And it is something that I see a lot of my my business coaching clients needing help with, or needing like almost permission to do it, because they think I have to work like 80-hour weeks to be successful in my business. And it's not true. And it's actually harmful to your business and to you as a person if you are never taking time off. So I think for me, being able to build in rest and not overdo stuff, which I'm prone to. Like I have a history of over exercising. I have a history of being like overly restrictive with my diet, like, kind of that perfectionist mentality. And so I've really had to challenge my perfectionism and build rest and relaxation and fun, quiet time, that kind of thing into my schedule, and focus more on like I prefer to focus on excellence over perfectionism. So like excellence in my mind is like, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it to the highest level that I can do it, but I'm not going to obsess about whether it's perfect. And I feel like being able to drop some of that perfectionism allows me to take the time that I need to recover and rest and take care of myself physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, because I know that that rest time actually leads to more excellence rather than having that like I need to be working all the time mentality. So I assume a lot of your listeners are entrepreneurs. If they're struggling with health and they're struggling with fatigue or like weight gain or like all the things that can happen when you are running a business, I would just kind of take a step back and look at your schedule and ask yourself, are you building in time for self-care? Are you building in time for rest? Are you building in time for movement? Are you getting outside on a regular basis? Because if you're just on your computer 14 hours a day and then you like, get takeout and then go to bed and then wake up and do it again, a lot of times that is what leads entrepreneurs to getting physically ill and not feeling their best, and then they actually can't perform at the high level that they want to perform at. So that's been probably my most important decision when it comes to protecting my health as an entrepreneur. And it also helps me work better in my business, so it works for many different things that I have goals in.
So, like, I remember the first time I heard about rest as a leader, I was like, you know what I mean? Like rest is for the weak, no days off, you know? And then, because it was a pastor who actually told me this advice that I need to like have a rest day and and take time for myself and spend time with God. And I remember just being like, what am I supposed to do? Like just sit here in like the middle of my living room and crisscross and just hum or something, like listen to yoga music. Like since rest is so important, help those who have yet to really implement that into their health and their business life or workflow, about how do you rest?
Yeah, I mean, just for everybody, I think it needs to be in your calendar, because if it's not in your calendar, it's very easy to either forget about it or not make space for it, or other
Right,
things get in the way of it. So
right.
I block off time off. I don't have appointments on the weekends. I really try to shut my work day down no later than 7 o'clock. Like usually it's earlier, but like, sometimes it'll go a little later for certain things, but I really try to be done at like 7. Um, and then I'm also scheduling not just rest in the sense of not working, but also um, different types of activities, especially like social activities. I schedule date night with my husband every week. It's on my calendar. I have a small group that I am participating in with a bunch of women in the area, and that's on my calendar. So those times are protected from appointments, from other work, and I make sure that those are in my calendar. I even have my dog walking schedule in my calendar. I have my Peloton workouts in my calendar. We just invested in a home gym this year because of COVID. So now we have a squat rack in our garage. And so I have a couple days a week that I do that. So that is actually how I build my work schedule. I build it around those things. And it sounds like super bougie, but like it really is something that helps me perform better at work if I'm taking care of myself. So
That's true.
if it doesn't matter if you're like, I like Zumba or I like playing volleyball or like whatever it is, make sure it's in the calendar, because if it's not in the calendar, it's not real. And then when it comes to the actual activities, I do think having just like open time off is important. So if it's just like, oh, the whole day Sunday is just like unscheduled, I think that's good to have just a block of like, empty time. Because I think sometimes if we're over scheduling our leisure activities can get a little intense. And then I think it's really good to have some kind of physical activity that you enjoy. So whatever that is, it doesn't really matter, but I like lifting, and we just got a Peloton bike this year and I've actually really liked that. Didn't think I would, but I actually really do.
It's probably the competitive thing. That's
Probably.
what it is.
It's really fun. I hate spin classes too, but I like being able to just jump on the bike and do like 20 minutes and then be done. So
yeah, that's true. I should get a Peloton. I heard it was like a good idea.
It's
because I don't like cycling, but I was like, I like the competitive thing. Can you like friend request people? Like, could I challenge you if I had a Peloton? Oh man, it's like incentive, man. I was in the episode 2, did Darryll win?
Yeah.
I'll probably lose though, because
I don't know. No, I'm not very conditioned either. It's that's one of the reasons I got it, because I was like, I need some kind of cardio. I can't just be lifting and walking. But picking something from a movement perspective that you enjoy and building that into the week. Scheduling adequate sleep time, so not going to bed at like 2:00 in the morning, building that into your routine. From a spiritual perspective, I do a lot of journaling, and my husband and I, we have church on Wednesday nights because of COVID, and we actually get to go worship in real life. So that's something that I find to be very rejuvenating spiritually. So everybody's going to be different depending on what their personal needs are, but I think having, again, some kind of movement that you like, something that's allowing you to rest, even if that's just scheduling a nap, if you like to nap in the afternoon. And then also having something that you have fun doing, that is not, there's no productivity associated with it. It's just fun. So, so that's the 3 categories that I would make sure that you're incorporating into your downtime. And again, it doesn't have to be like, 8 hours on a Sunday that you're just like praying or something, right?
Yeah.
Like if you just have a little bit of time set aside and, there is that flexibility. I think if you're a perfectionist, it's easy to make your schedule too rigid. But I think having some flexibility and just making sure your schedule is designed to suit your needs and your health, as opposed to trying to squeeze health behaviors into an overpacked schedule and then feeling like garbage after a couple months of working like that.
Yeah. I had to learn the hard way from that, because I was so driven as an athlete. And it's funny because we did have rest days as athletes, but it was like rest days were film days. Like it wasn't like complete rest. It was like still working to some capacity. So that's kind of what I brought into my business and like just normal life, is like I would take off of work, but I would find something else to do. Right. And to just be still was just like, oh my God. Like, but then now, like, and I'm like way different now. Like I'm huge on mindset now. Like I'm huge on meditation, like declaration, visualization, like all this mind work and, subconscious work that like is so important. Like I've like just recently, honestly, started to get into that more in 2020. Like I think it was the pandemic. It was like, I can't do anything, so I might as well just work on my subconscious.
Yeah.
So yeah, I so get it. And so like I just encourage you guys, like if you haven't built rest into your routine, like build rest into your routine, because like one of the turning points for me was like Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective Leaders. He talks about sharpening the saw, and that you actually, like when you sharpen the saw, you can chop down the tree faster. And so like, you don't know what effectiveness you're missing out on until you rest and go, whoa, I'm way sharper. I'm way faster. I'm way more effective. I can think clearer. So I just say, try it, build it into your routine, schedule it. Love that. It's such a simple tip, but we know what gets scheduled gets done. So 2 last questions for you. First question is going to be a how question. And then the last question is going to be a why question. Okay. So there's a difference between, in my mind, growing and scaling. Okay. So if you want to scale your business, go hire Laura. She'll help you scale your business. Talk to people who you help grow their business, right? What do you see is maybe some common mistakes in trying to grow a business that you usually come in and help people correct?
Yeah. Well, I think I would say I do both. And I have a program that really focuses on the growth piece. And then the scaling piece is really more in my like higher level coaching. When I'm helping somebody grow their business, one of the first things we do, and it's almost like, I don't want to say um, overly like beat to death at this point, but choosing a niche and really getting clear on your niche. Every single business coaching program I've ever done in my entire life talks about choosing a niche. And I really struggled with that for a while because I just had like multi-passionate, like I just love doing all these things and I'm good at helping lots of people. And I really struggled to really narrow down and focus, which I think focus and the concept of like essentialism where you're getting rid of the good to make room for the great, that's a discipline and that's something I've had to learn. But being able to really focus on a specific niche in your business is one of the first and possibly one of the most challenging steps for a lot of people, especially in the health world. Most nutritionists, dietitians like me were taught how to help a lot of different people with a lot of different conditions. And so it's this like jack of all trades kind of mindset. And that's fine if you're going to go work for a hospital or you're going to go work at a doctor's office, that kind of thing. But if you want to run your own business, serving people at a really high level and be able to be effective in marketing, you have to have a clear niche. And so that's probably one of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of my kind of starting or early growth type of clients struggling with and really needing to figure out as part of their process. And then the other three things, the three main categories of attention that I teach my growth clients to be focusing on is what I call my attract, convert, serve framework. So attract is really looking at how do you get somebody to even find out about you as a business owner. Convert is how do you turn that like, oh, I'm just looking kind of person into someone who's saying, yes, I'm interested, and then saying, yes, I want to spend money with you. And then the serve piece is how are you, as soon as that person takes out their credit card and pays you for your service, how are you helping them get the result that they want faster, easier, more effectively than they could do on their own, and getting them to a place where they have such great results that now they're like shouting your name from the mountaintop saying how awesome you are, and then feeding back into that attract, convert, serve cycle. So those are the three main categories of business that I focus on with my clients, and they all need to be dealt with equal amounts of attention, because I think a lot of business programs out there, they focus so heavily on the marketing and the messaging and the sales and all of that. And then it's like, oh, well, you go figure out how to like actually help people. You can make that decision yourself, and we're just going to help you sell it. And I just feel like from an ethical perspective and from a business sustainability perspective, I want my clients to have a really solid foundation of understanding how they actually help their clients get results. So that's a really big component of what I teach anyone who's trying to grow their business, to really get clear about their process, about the way that they serve their clients, about what specific results that they get for them, because then that feeds back into the whole thing of, now how do you attract those people? How do you get them into the actual coaching container? And again, it's a cycle that feeds itself. So those are the three elements that I think anyone who's looking to grow their business needs to be focusing on. And then when it comes to scaling is, in my mind, more about taking yourself out of the business as much as possible. So once you have that foundation of having a system to attract, convert, and serve your clients, then you want to think about how can I get other people or get automations going that this stuff is running on its own and I can pull out and then reach more people, make more money, spend less time serving, and grow my business more exponentially. So that's how I look at it from a systems perspective. And like I said, it all starts with choosing a niche. You can't do any of that without having a niche. But then once you have the niche, all of those three major components are built from that.
Love it. Last question. And we'll do a fun rapid fire round just to make people laugh. Why are you so passionate about helping business owners, women, walk in their full purpose and potential?
Yeah, well, and I had to think about this year because one of the tasks I had been putting off was choosing my mission and vision statement for my business. And it took me a really long time to actually take action on that. Because again, it's one of those like doesn't feel super productive when you're doing it. You're like, I could be doing something like actually money making right now. But being able to put those together and really think through like, why am I doing what I'm doing? Because yeah, I like making money, but that's like, I could do something else to make money, right? I don't have to be a business coach for nutritionists. I think this year has really shown me that I don't know if I want to call it freedom of speech, but the ability to speak on things and to share information that comes from your core values, even if it goes against mainstream, even if it doesn't like align with, what's popular, that kind of thing. Or in the health world, a lot of times you might be speaking against conventional guidelines that, if you're in a hospital, you have to toe the line. But when you have your own business, you can really explore what else is out there and what might we be doing wrong in the health field. So I've always been kind of like a little rebellious in the health space. I've always kind of, questioned what I was learning and thought, is this really true? Is this accurate? Maybe there's a different way of looking at this. So being able to share my beliefs openly and freely because I was self-employed has always been really valuable to me when it came to actually helping people. So because the bigger mission is to improve the health of our planet, especially our country, because there is so much health challenge in our country, I think a really big part of that is equipping more nutrition business owners to be able to have their own business so they can help people the way they believe is the best way to help people. And that way they can have a bigger impact. They can actually really support people with their health rather than just like being caught in this like bureaucracy of red tape. And I think that's going to change the world and change people's health a lot faster than if everybody is employed and they have to follow what their guidelines are. So I really think that standing up for what you believe in and being willing to go against the grain and being willing to take a controversial stance in the world of health is how we actually move health forward. And I find that by helping my clients grow more successful businesses, they can reach more people and influence more people to take the correct action that allows them to actually be healthy and not just like taking pills or, getting surgeries,
Right.
that kind of thing. So I think that's part of what really drives me. And again, from a more selfish perspective, I always come back to just thinking, what am I capable of? Like, I want to see what I'm capable of. Can I have $1 million business? Is that something that I'm
Yes.
capable of? So, so that's another thing where, I'm more driven to figure out what I can do in my business, no matter who I'm serving. And then the mission is equipping other dietitians and nutrition business owners, health business owners, to reach more people and spread their message and help more people that way.
Love it. So excited, man. You crushed the episode. So glad I brought you on. Let people know how they can connect with you.
Yeah. So I'm most active on social media on Instagram. That's how Darryll and I connected in the first place. So my handle on Instagram is Laura Schoenfeld RD. It's a little bit of a complex last name, so maybe Darryll will link
I'll
to
put it in the
that.
show notes. It's fine.
And then if you're interested in working with me as a business coaching client, I have a program called the Nutrition Business Accelerator. Depending on when this podcast comes out, we'll either be open for enrollment or we'll be on a wait list. So if you want to find out more about that, you can DM me on Instagram. And then if you want more of the health information that I share, you can go to lauraschoenfeldrd.com. That's where my blog and my podcast is, which Darryll was a guest on. And it's something that you can get kind of the holistic total body health perspective and also learn about mindset, faith, and all the things that I think really work together to help make a person more healthy and more capable of achieving their goals, no matter what their goals are.
Yeah. Great. Well, I'm telling you, she's amazing. Go work with her. She'll help you do all the things that you want to do in life. I have to say, man, to this day, your episode was still one of my favorite. You guys got to go listen to it. If you could see me, you would laugh so hard. I had to record it in the car. I was sweating like profusely. But I think we got some good content out to the world though. Like, so just know that when you listen to it, that there's a lot more going on behind the scenes. And you were so patient and graceful. Like you were just rolling with it. And I know why now, because you're so good at pivoting and you're so good at rolling with the punches and like just making the best out of life. So makes sense now. All right. So y'all go connect with Laura and she'll help you grow your business. She'll help you live a better life. She'll help you scale your business. She'll help you live healthier. Random rapid fire round really quickly here. I think this will be fun. So here's the rules. Okay. I'm just going to like say whatever comes to my mind. It's going to be random and you cannot explain your answer. You just have to answer. You ready?
Sure.
Okay. Ketchup or mustard?
Mustard.
Day or night?
Day.
Text message or phone call?
Ugh. Text message. Depends on the person. Text message.
Library or museums?
Museums.
Really? Summer or fall?
It's tough. It depends on what part of the country I'm in. If I'm in the South, then the fall.
Skydiving or whitewater rafting?
Probably whitewater rafting.
Love or money?
Ooh, love. You can't enjoy money without love.
Can't explain. Broke the rules.
Oh, sorry.
All right, last one. So random. This is what came to my mind. Years or days? I have no clue what that means, but you have to pick.
Years.
Now I kind of want to know why, but anyways, thank you. We are done. Right now, I just want to encourage you guys to go leave a 5-star review. Just want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for tuning into the When I Said Yes podcast. Right now, we encourage you to make a decision to say yes to taking risks, to pivoting, to doing like what you know deep down inside you want to do, like without fear robbing you of your future. It's time for you to just say yes. When we listen to your story, I just see a person who's really mastered navigating life, taking calculated risks, doing what makes sense, even though there's a little bit of fear there, like wanting and desiring to truly be the best version of yourself, like being internally driven and motivated. And all of that is so important to life. And so there was so much value that you brought today. And I just encourage our listeners, just choose one thing that you're going to say yes to today. Remember, we are simplifying success to finding your next yes. And as you listen to this episode, there's something that resonated with you. Maybe it's the fact that maybe you are like kicking butt right now and you just say yes to hiring a coach, like just to take it to the next level. Matter of fact, let's just do that. Say yes to hiring a coach because you have 3. I've got like 7, probably too many coaches. But you always need people who can help bring out the best in you. So let's say yes to the things that matter in our life that's going to move us forward. Okay? All right. That's it. That's all I got. Share this everywhere. Until next time, we'll see you again. Peace. You are listening to the When I Said Yes podcast, where we are simplifying and accelerating your success by helping you find your next yes.